All right, I think we're live in the group. So welcome everybody. It's 1 p.m. just thereabout on Thursday here, July 20th. And Douglas J. Beck here inside the Real Estate Investing Mastermind Facebook group. I really appreciate you being here with us today, either live or on replay. And man, I'm looking forward to talking about the topic today. My team mentioned that, we had some folks in the group that were asking about this, and also folks, in our private coaching group, as well as our free community here, asking about mindset tips and tricks. And I thought about my good friend Kyle, who's one of the coaches actually coming up next week, I think. He's really an expert when it comes to some of these advanced strategies on mental toughness and mindset tricks and tips, but also from the perspective of, physical, right? Physical, he's owns a couple of gyms. He's got a really big focus on intermittent fasting. And I'm sitting here in my tank top and a hat because I want to, right? Because I want to show you guys that you don't have to wear a suit and a tie to be a real estate investor, right? That's one of the first things I want to start the meeting about. It's like the beautiful thing is being flexible and having freedom to choose and be who you actually are as a business owner, right? So that's one of the many blessings that real estate and real estate investing gives us, is to be authentic, but yet still have success and ultimately create, like Tony Robbins says, more fulfillment in our life. So on that topic, I'm going to ask our Growth Collective clients that are in the room on Zoom, and also our guests. We have a couple of guests with us. If you're interested in getting a guest pass, shoot me a DM and let me know you're interested in coming in as a guest on one of our upcoming Growth Collective meetings. Even better yet, you can go to jointhegrowthcollective.com and fill out a application there. You set up an appointment and fill out an application, talk to Joe or Candace or someone else from our office, and then go ahead and ask for a guest pass, right? So you can kind of see it and live it and understand what it's like by going through that process with us. But if you're here today inside the free group and you're looking to talk about mindset and looking to learn about some different techniques, we could definitely help you out. That's what I'm here to do today. But go ahead in the Zoom room, right? Go ahead and use the chat to kind of communicate. Like I said before, everybody in the Growth Collective, make sure that you're putting out your contact information. If you're newer to the group, or if you're a guest today, make sure you're including your contact information so folks know inside of Zoom, how to reach you. And on Facebook, right, let us know where you're based out of. Let us know what you're focusing on as far as real estate and real estate investing is concerned, and let us know what brought you here today specifically, if you have something that's a specific need or a question that you have around how this can make a difference, having the right mindset as a real estate investor, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get my presentation queued up. It is going to be a presentation today with some slides, and then also some conversation after that, some Q&A, possibly starting with the Growth Collective folks and then going into the free group as well. So I want to make sure my audio is working. If you could do me a favor, if you hear me right now on Facebook, specifically on Facebook, put the number 1 into the comment and hit enter. Just hit the number 1 and hit enter. Let me know that you hear me live and okay, and it's everything coming through clearly. And I'll kind of monitor to see if we got a couple of 1s at least, so I can know things are working right. Let's see. I see Jabbar is here. What's up, Jabbar? Hey, Joe, we got to get Jabbar on a power hour. That's another gentleman we got to talk about getting on a power hour with us. So make sure we get Jabbar on
No
one
doubt.
of the next power hours we got.
Oh, I've been wanting Jabbar on for a long time.
If you guys don't know Jabbar like knows Philadelphia more than anybody else I ever met in my life, and he's just an awesome guy, and he's super connected. Connect with Jabbar Fairweather if you haven't already. If you're in Facebook world, hit him up with a DM, add him as a friend, and see what he could do. I'm sure he has something to offer. He's always got different deals in different places, lots of contacts, and Jabbar is just a wealth of knowledge and experience. So definitely want to have him come into the private group as well to talk with us. And like Joe said, inside of Facebook, where are you based out of, what are you working on? So I know my audio is working because Jabbar just acknowledged that. Thank you, bud. Appreciate you, man. And Joe put the link there for Join the Growth Collective, so you have that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I feel like Facebook, for some reason, might be dialing us back today, but that's okay. They don't like something that I put into the copy. They think it might sound whatever. I'm not sure, because I only see a handful of folks. Usually we got about 15, 20, 30 people on the live. Today we got a handful. So unless there's something else going on, I don't know about, but we'll go ahead and actually get this started. And hopefully Facebook likes what I have to say about mindset. If it doesn't, sorry, Facebook, you gave us the platform, we're using it. So let's go ahead and share the screen and get my presentation set up. So this actually, I told the folks in the Growth Collective, this presentation was from a previous event that we had, an online challenge event called the Dealmaker Challenge, right? And we're going to be doing another Dealmaker Challenge towards the end of next month. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about what that is in a second here, but effectively the last challenge we had, I created this content. It wasn't that long ago. It was back in the end of last year, but this stuff is still the same. And I'm going to add some additional flavor to it today. But effectively, it all starts, as it says here, day 1, like literally the challenge event that people paid money to attend right? And they actually came and they wanted to be there. And like you were here today, the first thing I started with, which is how I start every coaching conversation about anything to do with real estate or business, even, is mindset. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And because we know that if we don't, have the right mindset, if we have a negative mindset, we have a suffering mindset, we, like Tony Robbins says, there's suffering emotions like feeling sadness and pain and depression. Is also like really empowering emotions like feeling happy and joyful and glad and excited and ambitious. So we got to really take some inventory. We're going to talk about that today as well. But again, it starts with the right mindset. Okay. This is day one that we had. I'm going to kind of recap some of this. So first things first, get a pen and paper, right? I'm going to ask the Growth Collective clients. I'm calling you guys out today. I need you all to take notes during this presentation, and I want you to put a summary of whatever you got the most value from inside your private Slack. I want you to, at the end of the meeting today or later on today or tomorrow at the latest, put a message out to the team to let us know what you got out of this mindset discussion inside your private Slack. All right. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out to someone at the office, but you should know. If you don't, we're going to get that figured out. I want to make sure I'm holding you guys accountable, right? That's part of my responsibility, and my team's responsibility is to hold you accountable. But if you don't know, for example, why you are doing this, why you are working on your business every day, maybe you're burning the midnight oil, as some people would say, working late hours or getting up earlier, or hey, you're not doing any of that stuff. And you're like, why isn't this working? Well, maybe that's an indicator as well. But fact is, why are you doing this, right? So there's a picture of my mother, God rest her soul. She passed away in 2016. Me and my mom were real close. She was 77 when she passed away. I'm one of 7 kids, right? So there's 77 and 7 kids. We kind of joke around. She used to like to go to Atlantic City sometimes as like one of her hobbies, if you would, as she got older. So 777, she was a big slot player, but it's another story. But my dad there, he's 83 to celebrate his 83rd birthday a couple of days ago, actually. And he's up in New Jersey, and just a great couple of parents. I'm blessed to have had and have still alive my father and my mother with me in spirit every single day of my life. But I look to them for guidance, right? I look to them for a way to think about things. I look to my father as the masculine, the male, the leader, right? I look to my mother as a nurturer, the lover, the emotions, the things that make me well-rounded as a human being. Like, not to say my dad doesn't have that, but obviously males, it's the emotions. And Tony Robbins talks a lot about this as well. I'm going to share with you some of the key takeaways I had from multiple, what were called UPW, Unleash the Power Within events that I personally attended, as well as another couple of events, like one called Business Mastery and Date with Destiny. But effectively, there's masculine and there's feminine energy in all of us, right? Like we have the different programming, different DNA, but frankly, there needs to be a balance of both of those things, whether you're a male or a female. You need to at least be receptive and understand. So, but the why part of this is like, those folks on the screen right now were my first 2 that I thought about when I said why, because I want to make them proud. I want to show them that I've been able to build something and taken all the information, the knowledge, the opportunities that they've created for me in my life, and show them what I can do with that, right? That's one of my reasons why. This is just a little graphic. It says your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Steve Jobs said that. And so how does that resonate? I'm curious, folks on Facebook, a question for you is like, are you living someone else's life? Right? I mean, that's a tough question to answer. You don't have to answer it if you don't feel comfortable, but maybe you should though, right? Maybe you need to. Whose life are you living? Are you living your own? Are you living someone else's? Are you living your boss's? Are you living your parents? I mean, God bless my parents, but I don't want to just live my life just for them. I need to live it for myself too. I need to live with their influence, but I need to live it for me, right? I need to think about, am I living it for a previous employer or a current employer that I'm looking to become a previous employer, for example, which is kind of what I was doing and dealing with back in 2014 on my way out of corporate, right? Looking for an exit plan, and I fell into real estate. But the fact is, there's a lot of different people whose lives you could be living basically, but meanwhile, it's your time. And there's only one of you and one of me and one of each other. So it's like we all get the same time. We've heard that a million times again, but fact is, no one else can live your life for you. So why would you live someone else's? Just think about that, right? And if you feel so inclined, put a comment on Facebook about that. And then we got the crew over here. This is a little bit of an outdated picture, but it's not that old, actually. This is my wife, Dima. God bless her. So honored and humbled. And I can't even believe she's my wife sometimes. She's so beautiful in so many ways. And my children, right? My 3 awesome kids. We just went to a place this morning to go have some fun. We did a little trampoline park spot. This is my son, Jacob. He's 12 now. This is Jude. He's 4. And this is London. She's 9, and my wife and I just celebrated 14 14 years of being married and like almost 20 years together. It's kind of nuts. But again, I don't deserve some of the things that I have in my life, which is amazing. God is real, right? God is real through the reflection of the people that have been given to me to have the ability to create a family. And that's something also I think that is really a part of my why is like, honoring them, right? Giving them the love and the time that they need from me, the confidence in me to be able to produce, a life for them that they can enjoy and they can make memories and capture those moments and be the provider. That's one of the things I've decided for me personally. Maybe you don't have that responsibility. Maybe you're not the provider. Maybe you don't need to be the provider. Maybe you're blessed to have someone else provide, but you obviously want something, which is why you're here listening to me today in real estate. And you want to think of like, what is the purpose of that? What's the why? What's the driving force? Right. If you see on the bottom of the screen, by the way, there's a few different websites you can check out about our companies and about our brands and what we do. So join thegrowthclicker.com, douglasjdevelopment.com, realdirectlending.com, and investorsfirsttitle.com. Those are a handful of the different companies and brands that we have built over the years, but it's been built from a place of why, why do I do this? It's got to be intentional. Okay. So if you don't have intentionality, everybody, intentionality is the answer, like to feeling fulfilled. If you are going through life aimlessly and you're stabbing at stuff, this thing, I heard about this online opportunity, this thing over here, and I heard about this crypto thing over there, and I heard about this other thing over there. Stabbing at opportunity doesn't yield progression forward until the opportunity is realized far enough. And so like, you got to think, how much of a runway, this is another question, how much of a runway of time are you willing to give yourself to realize opportunity? From the time that you enter into that opportunity, whatever it is you're working on, how long are you willing to give that opportunity time to pay off? Because what I find sometimes is people give themselves like maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And after that, they're like, I'm done. I give up. It's not going to work. It's not for me. Da-da-da. And the fact is that's so unfortunate because you could be what some people say is 3 feet from gold, right? Like you could literally be chipping away, using an axe inside the place where the gold is at. And you're like so close, you're 3 feet away or less. And then you're like, I can't take it anymore. It's too hard. That's where you got to dive deeper. You got to go in and get to your why and say, wait a second, I've already invested 30, 60, 90, a year or two, whatever of your life. Why am I doing this? And do those people or those things, would they want me to quit right now? Like even if they said it because they were frustrated, do they really want that? Do they really know the impact that's going to have to give up? To give up not just on the thing, the opportunity, the business as real estate investors, or the opportunity of building a company, right, as an entrepreneur, or the opportunity to build a certain life as a person that wants to have freedom in your life. Do the people around you and do you yourself, does God himself or herself, however you think of God, does God want you to do that? Would they be excited for you to quit? The answer is like almost never, yes, they want me to quit. Like it's usually, no, they would really hate for that to happen because they know the amount of time I've invested. They know how much I enjoy what I'm trying to build here, how much is going to pay off in the long term. So it's really a question of then going back to, how do I maybe reset some of my own expectations? Okay, we're going to talk about that today a little bit as well. Let me keep on going with the slides, everybody. Just kind of gets me a little jazzed up with the why, because it really kind of, you got to think at a deeper level, okay? I'm going to call out the Growth Collective. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to go ahead and actually put a question into the chat as we're talking. If you're still here on Zoom, go ahead and put a 1 into the Zoom as well to make sure you guys are still staying plugged in. And if you're on Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen as well. Give me a 1 to let me know you're here. All right. I want to see some 1s on Facebook commenting. Violet's on here. Wendy's also there looking for some Canadian contacts. Violet's from Corpus Christi down there in Texas. All right. And I think Facebook kind of limits what I can see for some reason on comments. So I'm just going to count on maybe Joe and team to see about maybe, if there's any comments that are coming through that are questions, you could populate that into the chat on Zoom for me. So the 6 human needs, right? This is like out of the book, like the textbook, if you would. I'm going to show you guys just so you know that it's not just coming out of thin air. This is the actual Tony Robbins UPW workbook that's about, I don't know, 150 pages deep. This is one of them. Okay, just to show you guys. So this is mine. This is my personal workbook. This is my other one, which is from the one before that I went to. So you know that like I do what I say I'm going to do, and I do what I've done, like I told you guys. I have also here, I had a business coach a few years back from the Tony Robbins group specifically. This is a business coaching book. Okay, about that. Okay, lots of notes in there. Let's see. We got business mastery over here, Business Mastery, okay, is another book, which has stuff just specifically on business and different things. You can see, look at this, like a full page of notes. All right. So I'm showing you this because I want you to be like me. I want to be like you too. Though. I want you to be excited. I want to be excited like hopefully you are, because I don't want to ever lose that excitement about building something. That's my goal, right? Is never to get like complacent or get like, oh, we've done all this, we've hit all these marks and we've done all these amazing things and now we're done. It's not really, I don't see myself ever being quote unquote done like that. I think it's going to be more about giving and contribution, which we'll talk about. Coincidentally, one of the 6 human needs is just that. And part of the driving force, everybody, for me to do what I do and what we do at the coaching group and the growth collective, and even in this group, is because of the 6 human needs and because of the fact that I truly have, the desire to have the 3 bottom, but the 3 most important in my book, which we're going to get into in a second. So I'm going to kind of read kind of what he's written here and then give you guys some context in my own words. It's kind of what it means and what it's all about. So let me see if I can, there's Tony Robbins in front of a massive stadium. It's a little blurry, but this was probably about 15,000 people I think this was probably at the Newark, New Jersey or Secaucus NJ1 that I went to 2015, 2016. We're going to talk about each of these. I'm going to put them on the screen so you can write them down. Okay. Certainty, variety, significance, love/connection, growth, and contribution. Okay. This is mindset stuff. If you're not in the right place right now from a mindset perspective, you need to stay here and listen and trust the process. I'm going to give you tips and tricks that are going to make a difference, little or big, depending on how you use them. It's really up to you to determine. If you're not here for mindset, then you're probably in the wrong place, and it's no big deal. If you're not here for real estate investing, if you're not here to help and contribute in some capacity to others in the world or to this meeting, then I'm going to ask you to please excuse yourself. I always do that lately because a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, I just want to be here and listen in, but I don't really have any good intentions. I'm not here to waste people's time, or I'm here to mess around and post stuff that doesn't make any sense. That's not what this group is for. If we happen to let you into the room in terms of the Facebook group, because we thought you were a good contact to have in the group and a good contributor to the group, and maybe you're not, no big deal, but we're not looking to have you hang out just because it's not the right group for you. We wish you the best if that's you though. All right. And the growth collective, we got nothing but love for you guys. You guys have already kind of had multiple conversations with us at some point, so we know who you are. But sometimes the free community brings some interesting characters. So say that much. But on that note, so 6 human needs, right? Certainty. Well, first off, let's take a step back, right? I mean, basically, straight out of the book for UPW, Tony Robbins talks about the 3 elements of practical psychology, right? And so he says we all have the ability to decipher what's really going on, both ourselves, within ourselves, and with those that we care about. And the challenge, though, is that we have not been taught how to access those skills to effectively create the change in ourselves and our lives that we desire. So he says this tool, the 3 elements of practical psychology, represents a series of refinements in our thinking, right? That we can use to basically understand the nature of how we think as humans and ultimately predict how and why we do what we do, kind of off the why concept, like what's the driving force, right? And so the more you can understand about what's going on with people, right? The more compassion and connection, these are key words, everybody, write these words down: compassion, connection, and positive influence that you can have as a parent, a leader. If you're a parent, just put the word parent somewhere. Just tell me you're a parent. I want to know who the parents are. If you think of yourself as a leader, put the word leader. I hope that always everybody puts the word leader, but just put the word parent or the word leader or both of them. Here's another one for you. Professional, right? As a professional, as a loving partner, someone that cares about somebody else very close to you in an intimate relationship, or a friend. So check it out. This is an interactive discussion today. I mean, even though I'm presenting on my screen, I'm going to talk about the 6 human needs in a sec. This is a lead up to it. I need you all to follow along, please. All right, I'm going to call everybody out in the Growth Collective and also on Facebook. Unless I'm frozen, I don't think I am. Are you a parent? Put the word parent. Are you a leader? Put the word leader. And if you want to play along and even have some more fun, put the words I am in front of the one that you want to focus on the most today. I am a parent. I am a leader. I am a partner. I am a friend. Whatever you need the most support. I am a real estate investor. I am a business owner. I want you to kind of start programming your subconscious to understand, to believe in what you already are, that's deep within you. And this is the kind of experience that we have when I went, and multiple people, my friends and family, have gone to the Tony Robbins events, because it's not just about this theory. It's about an experience. And I'm going to give you guys kind of a lens of that today in a very limited fashion, using some of the principles that I learned from being a part of that event and going through what's called Mastery University with Tony Robbins and his group, going to multiple UPWs, multiple different events, helping me understand my own self-growth and development that I need. Okay. And so he says, in order to become more effective, thank you, Rachel, by the way, for contributing into the Facebook, and also Joe for being there as well. And I think I saw another one, but I don't see the comment now for some reason. Someone else made a comment on Facebook, so thank you. That might have been Violet, I think. And then on Zoom, we got Kirsten. I'm a real estate investor. Excellent. And we got Wendy. I'm a leader. Excellent. Glenn, I'm a leader. I'm a real estate investor. Jenny, excellent. Joe says, from Facebook. We got Rachel, parent, leader, partner, friend. Sherry is a parent, leader, and professional. Again, you guys are rocking it. Love it. Thank you for staying interactive. Okay. So these are the three most important questions that he says we have to answer. Number one, right? And I'm gonna come off a screen share so I don't confuse you guys for a second, because I want to not have you look at the screen and think it's those things and then it's something else. We're gonna come back to the actual regularly scheduled six, him he needs in a second, but this is the lead up for it. And so essentially, number one, right? We have to answer this to become effective psychologists, practically, he says. So this is for us to think about our thinking, which sounds kind of funny. Number one is, what stops us from moving forward, from taking action, from being our best? What stops us? I want you guys to write down what stops me. And I want you to try to answer that question as we're talking through here. I'm not going to be able to give you too much time because there's a lot of content here, but what is stopping you from taking action? What is stopping you from being your best? What is stopping you from your calling? What God, or what you believe in, but I hope it's something to do with God, is calling you to do and serve and bring to others and create influence in a community. Like, what is that that's stopping you from that? What is it a fear of? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of success? Is it a fear of, what if this doesn't work? Like, not necessarily failure, but just not going the way you thought. Fear of uncertainty, like on things that can go wrong. You got to get clear about that. So again, if you want to play along, put a comment about some of your fears. It's okay. I mean, just tell us, what are you fearful of? What are you afraid of? Okay. What stops you from moving forward? Number two, what controls and determines the quality of our life? Interesting. What controls and determines the quality of our life? Well, think about it. If you start with the why, and you think of what is that going to do to determine the quality of your life, or any of the things that you've considered as part of your why going to have to do with the way you feel or the way you have a certain quality of life. For example, if the things or the people that you wrote about in the why were not there, God forbid, if they were not accessible to you, if you no longer could speak to those people, like my mother, for example, like this came very real for me in 2016 when we lost her to a lot of medical challenges. I realized that she was a very big part of my younger years, but also even as an adult man, having the ability to call my mother and speak to her about different things when I needed to talk to her, and then not being able to do that. And then literally sitting there listening to voicemails that she left me because I couldn't speak to her live, hearing her voice made me feel comforted as her son, right? So like, not having the access to somebody makes a difference, makes a massive difference. So what would it be like, God forbid, if you didn't have the ability to speak to those people, do those things that you were excited about doing? What's going to determine that, though, is how fast or how much you focus on really getting the quality of your life where you need it to be. So I think part of the catalyst, part of the reason why many people get into real estate investing, is because they want to create more income, obviously, right? I think you all would agree. But it's for what purpose is that income going to generate the opportunity to have a certain experience in life, a certain quality of life, a certain lifestyle? Okay. And that's a question you have to answer for yourself. What are you missing right now? Is it not being able to travel as much? Is it not being able to see those people as much? Not being able to speak to them, feeling like you're always running around in circles, busy, whatever the case is. But what's going to control and determine the quality of life is basically the why, if you ask me. They're going to determine, and also my action or inaction determines the quality of my life. But you have to answer that for yourself. Again, number three is, if you're following on the three questions here, why do we do what we do? Why do we do, or why do I, if you're asking yourself this question, why do I do what I do? Why do I wake up at a certain time? Why do I do something certain in the morning? Why do I decide to go to the gym, right? Why do I decide to go outside and get some fresh air? Why do I decide to sit in an office? Some of you are just sitting in an office, even right now, listening to me talk with probably earplugs in your ear and hoping no one catches you, quote unquote. Like, Nothing but love. I've been there, but are we serious right now? Think about that for a second. Are you willing to let someone else control the rest of your life, determining where you could sit, how long you have to sit there, and what you're going to do for the rest of your life? I hope to God that you're not letting that happen intentionally, that you need to take back the control. So I'm going to kind of quickly call it a book. This is what I said. It's kind of bonus content here for you. This book right here is life changing. The Motivation Manifesto. Okay. Here, I'll make a commitment. Any Growth Collective member that wants me to ship you a book, this book for free, Growth Collective members, just put your address. I probably have it somewhere. Put it into Slack, and I'll literally get you this book for free. It's not, I didn't write the book, but I want you to have it though. Just tell me your address and I'll send it to you. Anybody who's on Facebook, if you set up an appointment with our team and you ask for us to send this book to you, you have my word. Give us your address and I'll send you the book for free. Well, you have to have an appointment with someone from my office. Join thegrowthcollective.com. If you want this book for free, you already are a client, you got it. Just put your address into Slack for us. If you're not a client and you want to get a copy of this book for free, just have an appointment, and be having an appointment for the right reasons, not just for the book, please. You actually are curious about it, but you know that it's something you've thought about, but you haven't done it yet. We'll hook you up with a book. Okay. This book, man, it's just getting me a little jazzed up over here. I'm not going to lie. It talks about independence. It talks about freedom. It talks about how we need to take back our already God-given freedoms, not the government, not life like as we are scientifically made or whatever. No, God-given. God does not intend for us to be slaves to the world. Actually, he is our ultimate like Lord and Savior, right? So like I'm actually a servant to God in my mind. That's how I think of as a Christian. And you need to think about who do you serve, right? If you're serving just other people's time and just other people's business and other people's needs, but you're not receiving from that service, if you're not receiving blessings or feeling like it's fulfilling you, you need to get a copy of this book, because this book talks about the fact that you already have the freedom that you want. You just haven't chosen to take it yet. You haven't chosen to step up and take the freedom back that you already have. We have to choose that intentionally. So please, I implore you, it doesn't need to be this book, but it can be. But if you don't feel like you have freedom in your life right now, if you feel controlled by things, you need to stop letting that happen and take back control. And I want to help you do that. So let us know if that's something you need help with. A great reason to set up an appointment, even if it's not just real estate related, just something you need help with, getting unstuck. Okay. Now, that book, I read this book in Costa Rica, and this was the book I was reading right before I decided to hand in my resignation letter back in 2015 to J&J. And I might not have the time to tell the whole story, but I'll try to flavor in some different parts of that. It was a process. UPW in March of 2015, the Tony Robbins event, opened up my mind. My mother was still alive. I wanted to spend more time with my family, see my parents, build my family. And I realized that this company I'm working for is not going to allow that to happen unless I get flexibility, but I'm still committed to be there a certain number of hours every single day in a certain way and operate a certain thing. And it wasn't feeling like exciting anymore. It was feeling very stressful and not necessary. And I'm like, I know I could do better than this. So I decided to step out of that and step into entrepreneurship full-time in October of 2015. And I haven't looked back since. I've been building companies since, and I'm blessed and honored to have a great team, a great staff, great partners, people in multiple businesses. My buddy Ken McCarthy was just down here visiting actually in our title company, Phil in the KPRE Capital Group and the fund, and just awesome people. My wife is my life partner. My wife is my everything, right? So, I mean, I gotta hold back a little bit, because if I keep going, I'm not gonna be able to give a presentation. Just so you guys, I'm gonna get a little bit choked up. This is like the softer side of yours truly here, like talking to you today. So like, but it's also important for me to keep it together so I can help you break through things. Okay. So again, here's some of the knowledge and the wisdom, right? And so number one question, what stops us from moving forward? Remember I said, what are you afraid of? So where does that come from? It's a 4-letter word. It starts with the letter F, and it's not a bad word, but it is a kind of a bad word. It's not the bad word. Okay. The word is fear. So what stops us from moving forward, everybody, is fear. Fear. Okay. And fear can destroy your psychology, he says, Tony Robbins in his layout here, and immobilize us from taking action. He also says that complexity is the antithesis to execution. So if you feel like you can't take action, you feel confused, what do I do first? What do I do next? Where do I go from here? That is going to disable your ability to execute. So get the information you need to get. Again, another reason to have a conversation, or if you're in the group, in the Growth Collective, have that conversation with us, right? Like, what are you fearful of? What don't you know yet? Like, we just had a great conversation today, one of our newer clients, and she asked some questions and it was perfect. So shout out to her for doing that. That's what we need. We need you to step up like that and do it for the group's sake as well as yours. Ask the questions that are pressing. Okay. He says here, all of us experience, fear in some context during our lives, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success. How can I handle that pressure, for example, if it's success and continue to deliver at a high level? Fear of love or losing love, right? Fear of being alone or fear of the unknown. And in fact, most of us feel a combination of these fears over the course of life. So it's totally normal to feel it, but we have to take control back and not allow ourselves to give into that fear, right? I believe, like it says, we have a wall decoration that says, let your faith be bigger than your fear, right? And that drives from a place of my Christian faith as well in God and Jesus Christ and what I believe in. And you have to feel the same kind of call to some faith that you have, right? Whether that be hopefully God and Jesus Christ, but if it's not, hey, listen, that's another conversation for another day. Love to talk to you about it. But fact is, whatever you have faith in, hopefully have faith in yourself, if nothing else. Have faith in you to do something that you could do that you haven't done before, but call something higher than you to help support you through that process. That's where I call God for his help and his support, and to call me to do what I need to do. And I listen and I pray about it. And I look at what does scripture tell me about what I'm called to do, because when certain things stand out, or when I listen to a Bible reading from one of the apps on my phone, and the gentleman that's narrating it is reading it to me, and I listen, I say, he says, what are you hearing? What is God telling you when you listen to the scripture? For example, like, what is that for me might be different than what it is for you. So even in scripture, like, it's not about just the one way, the one thing. It's got to be something that calls you personally. It's a relationship that you have with God, with you have with Jesus Christ, that you have with also your own self, with your thinking. I can't get in your head, God can, but I can't. I could help, I could navigate through, I can give you some tools, but you have to take responsibility to call onto your God, call onto what you believe in, call onto your faith, and let it squash, literally crush the fear. Like, it doesn't exist. You ever seen that visual where they have a cup of soda and then the guy has a pitcher of water, right? And the soda represents all the negativity, all the destruction, all the sadness, all the depression, all the things that live in this world that we live in. Unfortunately, it's basically hell on earth in some cases. And many, what we see and listen to on the news and stuff, it just sounds like the world is always ending, basically. It's just nuts, right? But then you take this clarity, this life, this life force, this God that I believe in, this faith that I have, this trust in the process, and I pour this clear liquid on top of the soda. And what do you know? The soda is gone after not that long. It's just pouring over and expounding all that yucky stuff, all that gook, right? With clear, beautiful, clear liquid that is really clarity in life. Like, I could see through it. I understand it. It's transparent. It's communication. It's connection, right? That is what clear represents. Whereas darkness, it just is depths, and it's just confusing and ugly, and doesn't taste really good. It's not good for you. It might taste good for a little bit, but it's going to destroy your stomach, for example. Like, literally, that's what that is. But I'm telling you, metaphorically, your life might have things that feel like that darkness, and we have to squash it with faith and with clear liquid. So I hope that I'm one glimpse of that for you. Like, I could be one individual that brings life and joy to you in a little bit of a way, even just for this once a week that we have in this group to talk and share ideas and inspire you. I want to be part of that pitcher of clear water to pour over. And the Growth Collective literally is like, we got multiple pitchers. We're just pouring every single day, pretty much, from multiple people, especially some of the people I look up to in a lot of ways that have even way and deeper and more depth to their faith that I'm trying to learn from, right? Faith is the driving force. The spirit is what squashes that darkness. So just, I hope you guys hear me right? If you guys get it, just say, I hear you. It's good. Faith over fear or something. Show me that you understand what I'm talking about, because that's really what it's about. Okay. Well, we say here, let's see, fear is hardwired into every human being. Fear is something that, we can't eliminate, but we can replace to some extent with a focus on faith. If you focus, Tony Robbins also says, where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you focus on the problems, you're always going to have problems. If you focus on the solutions and celebrate your successes, you will always feel celebratory. You're going to feel like what you look at and what you focus on. So the question is also, what are you focusing on? Okay. There are two primary fears. Number one is that you're not enough. And number two is that you won't be loved. So he said, and I'm going to shorthand this and go into the 6 human needs to kind of pull this together and wrap this up in a little bit here with everybody. You know, man, it's like, if you think back, and I'm not going to do the best job of paraphrasing this, but just look into it. There's probably plenty of videos you can find of Tony Robbins himself doing this. He goes through a process, and you guys should think about doing this yourself, but like thinking back to your earliest childhood memory, your earliest childhood memory. So if you guys took a second to kind of close your eyes and think about it and say, like, what do I remember when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old? Maybe you remember even before two. I don't know. I only remember like 2.5, 3. Like one time, it's kind of a funny story, but I'm like using the bathroom as a kid. And then my sister opened the door and took a picture of me on a Polaroid camera, and I was embarrassed, so like it kind of created a little imprint in my head. Like I'm sitting there as like a 3-year-old kid. She wasn't trying to be weird. She was just taking a picture because an innocent kind of cute picture, kid on the toilet, sitting there, like tiny, falling into the toilet kind of thing, not using a potty training thing or whatever. And it was like, but that to me felt like weird, a little awkward. I'm like, this is like, I don't want to have somebody come in the bathroom, but it was my sister. So it's not like it was done to hurt me. It was just cute. But I mean, still, I remember that distinctively. So the question is like, what would that do in my mindset to think about being embarrassed, for example, or having a feeling of vulnerability or willingness to be vulnerable? Like it might not, I mean, in my case, I haven't thought about it extensively so much, like, and it's not top of mind, but it could potentially for somebody affect them in a way where they move away from that experience. So they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to feel embarrassed. They don't want to have, they have a fear of being embarrassed. They have a fear of being kind of put on the spotlight, if you would, right? With literally a picture and stuff like that. So some people are like, I don't like, even kids, like they don't like pictures. They don't like to be put in the spotlight. They're nervous. They're scared of something because something bad happened when that happened. So he says, look at when you were a child, and it's hard to do this and it might get you a little upset. So I'm just going to warn you, if you haven't already started thinking about it, like when you think back, some of us had different childhood experiences that were not pleasant, like really a hurtful experience. Thankfully, I have not. And I empathize for those of you that have had rough childhoods in different ways. I have to say my parents were a blessing for me. I was basically spoiled. And I'm telling you guys that in my large group here because I needed to respect the fact that I was the last of 7. And there was a pretty big discrepancy between me and my next oldest sibling that created a gap. And so there was time, it was almost like I was an only child, even though I had 6 older brothers and brothers and sisters, excuse me. I had 6 older brothers and sisters. That was a tongue twister. I don't know why. So basically I'm sitting there as a, kid. And like, it was kind of like my mom and dad were always there kind of taking me places, going to see my older siblings do stuff. My sister played basketball, etc. So it was a different childhood experience than some people that I know, close friends of mine and stuff like that, that had a very challenging, hurtful, abusive type of childhood. So it's not to bring back bad memories, but the question is also like, man, if that's affecting you today, we have to find a way to deal with that, right? And it's not by yourself. Like you need to have a support system because that's also transgressing into your life now as an adult. If you haven't dealt with the challenges from a childhood age, from a young age, or even not that long ago, if you had a trauma or something you had to grieve and you didn't fully go through that process to address it, it's going to be like all encompassing, making it more difficult for you to operate at the highest and best that you could possibly be. So just really encouraging you and praying for you, if that's you listening to me right now, that you're going to have strength and healing from that. But you have to take the responsibility also and call on something bigger than you, whether it be God, hopefully, and also others that can support you in that process to help you through that challenge. And I'm here to talk if you need that time to be able to speak about those things. I'm happy to do that with clients and or one-on-ones. We have often, conversations that don't have to do with real estate. Actually, it's more like life stuff that are challenges that they're facing, they have faced. So on that note, okay, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. We're going to go back in the slides. What controls and determines the quality of our lives? Meaning equals, I wrote down meaning equals emotions, which equals life. So there's a connection between the meaning we give something, right, to how we feel about it, what our emotions are, and how our life ultimately pans out and it becomes that. So really, it's how we associate things, as he says, and the pattern of emotions. Right. So if we find ourselves in a negative pattern where, like, let's say you're doing a real estate thing, we're talking about real estate, right? So it's like, hey, I'm looking for deals. I just keep finding the stuff that doesn't make sense. This is horrible. This is not good. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's wasteful. It's time investment, whatever. You could keep doing that. But the fact is that's a pattern. It's probably not the right pattern, right? For you, like you have to be diligent and relentless. Yes. But if you're doing a process that isn't working, and it's not about being 3 feet from gold in this case, you might be doing the wrong thing. So the question is like, where are you getting information from? Like, who is actually helping navigate through what's working today? That's precisely what we focus on in the growth club. It was like, what is actually getting us deals today, and how can you get deals the same way as one of our clients? Versus like doing stuff that was from 5, 10, 20 years ago, and stuff that's really inefficient a lot of times, that's not going to get you results anytime soon. Hate to break it to you, but it's not. And I'm talking about things like, direct mail can work, but direct mail is more intensive than most people realize. Bandit signs, a lot of cases, are illegal to post in towns without permits, and most people don't get those permits. So you're actually doing something technically illegal by putting up bandit signs, in most cases, right? So these are like old school, which produce quote unquote results for real estate investors. But the question is, what's the quality of those results? Because like for me, today's mindset, but I'm gonna give you guys a quick tip. Like everybody you need to know is already available to be contacted. You just need to find out where they are online, where they are on their cell phone. If you have a way to get their phone number, they already exist. They're already there. They're in the world. They already are there waiting for you to reach out to them. The question is, what does that audience really look like? Who are my people? Who do I need to get in touch with? And that comes to like, which Facebook groups am I a part of? Which groups do I go to in person? Which REIAs or real estate investment clubs or real estate groups do I go to? Who do I associate with? Who do I talk to on a daily basis? Like those are the kind of habits that will help you become a better real estate investor. And obviously the habits we have of how we think and how we take on certain feelings and emotions will also yield whether our life is progressing or not getting better, right? So basically that's what I want to share about that. And then there's a lot more stuff. I mean, this is like a whole probably, this was like a 4-day thing. So it's not about every single part of UPW, but it's really just about kind of sharing some of the nuggets I got. And so I'm going to come back to the actual chat in a little bit. If there's anything that's really pressing, if you guys could let me know, anybody from TGC that's a pressing question or matter. Otherwise, I'm going to keep rolling. Okay. I'm going to go back to my slides. So let's talk about the 6 human needs. All right. Certainty. I kind of mentioned this before: certainty, variety, significance, love, connection, and growth and contribution. So basically, he says 4 primal needs. Now, interestingly enough, I've always thought of this as 3 mainly primal needs and 3 spiritual needs. I'm not going to say I disagree with Tony Robbins, but I kind of feel like from a pure logical perspective, for me personally, it seems like the love and connection is something that is a spiritual desire more than it is instinctual. As much as I want to be nurtured as a male, like I need to be closer. If I want to strengthen my love and connection with others, I need to come from a place of strong spiritual strength personally. I don't know if you guys can relate on that, but we're going to talk about that in a second, right? It's because certainty right here is one of the first, as he calls, primal or instinctual needs. So, and in his words, he says, everybody wants, stability about your basic necessities, like Maslow's hierarchy, basically. It's like food, shelter, and other material resources. When people can't control their physical circumstances, they may seek certainty through a state of mind, such as faith, right? So sometimes faith gives you certainty because the rest of your life is very uncertain right now. And that's okay. That's something you have to acknowledge, and that's going on. And you have to feel, how am I addressing this? How am I dealing with this? It's also like the other way of calling certainty is like having comfort or having confidence, right? I connect confidence and clarity to certainty personally. I feel like certainty comes from those things, right? And then we move into like the second thing, which is he calls variety or also uncertainty. And in this case, like people have a need to change how they feel, to change their state of mind, right? To actually exercise your body and your emotions and to feel like you have vibrance and like sort of energy, if you would, and therefore they seek this through a variety of different things, as he says, with different stimuli, a change of scene, physical activity, like going to the gym, or having sometimes not so good things like mood swings, right? Not good foods, like different things will impact that, right? But entertainment and food. So variety, there's like such thing as enough or good enough or a good amount, I would say, of variety. But when we have too much variety, everybody, too much variety sounds like I'm always doing something different every single day, every hour of day. Essentially, that's like an extreme level of variety. Like I'm always doing new stuff. And some people seek that thrill, but there's actually chemicals in our brain that also live off that like the adrenaline rush and like the quote unquote dopamine hit and stuff like that. Like that's social media kind of has given us this unnecessary, unrealistic, unnormal, unsustainable, if you would, level of variety accessible to us with our hands on a phone device. And it's not good. Like, I mean, it's good for what we're doing here to connect, and I might get knocked by Facebook or something for saying this. So now I even said that, they're gonna be like, oh, let's read what he said here. It's a great platform, but people abuse it. That's really as simple as it is. And unfortunately, people that are basically addicted to social media for nonsense, right? I don't think it's people in the Zoom room. I doubt that anyone here is like having that challenge. If you are, we should talk about it. But people that are in the Facebook community right now, Facebook world on the free group, maybe you have a bad habit of scrolling through your feed multiple times a day, looking at stupid videos that just don't mean anything, but might make you laugh for a second. And then when you're not watching those videos, what happens? You feel depressed. You feel let down. Do you understand that there's such a thing as having too much of everything? There's too much funny stuff. There's too much good stuff. You have to have a chance to decompress. Your mind, our minds are not designed for an unrealistic amount of variety. We need a level of certainty, and new stuff is not certainty. New stuff is variety. So if you want to check in and think, why do I always feel so tired? And I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you from real life, personal experience. What do I feel like I'm always running? A lot of times I feel like that when I'm caught up in social media world, because I'm always going through it, like, middle of the day, afternoon, late at night, whatever, just scrolling, watching stupid videos, 5, 10, 20 minutes worth of videos, and then another 5, 10, 20 minutes. It's not a good use, right? You might need that little bit if you had a rough day, you want to relax for a bit. But if that becomes a pattern constantly, and now it's not just what you're doing that doesn't help you, it's also what you're not doing, right? What you're not doing is in like the time you just invested to do all that stuff, just eliminated the possibility for you to do other things that were way more valuable. So just keep that in check. Okay. If you guys hear me, give me a comment to tell me like kind of where are you at on the spectrum of variety? You feel like you need more? I need more variety. Put if you need more variety in your life. If you feel like you have too much variety and not enough certainty, then tell me that too. Put that in the chat or put that on a comment. Hey, how does it look when you look at yourself in the mirror? You think about the variety in your life. If life is feeling too like kind of basic and normal and like not really exciting, that probably means you don't have enough variety. And you need to bring in some elements of variety and some excitement. If it feels like it's like way out of whack and all over the place, it's probably because you have too much already variety. You need to get focusing on certainty. Now, interestingly enough, I'm investing a lot of time on this with the meeting. We don't have that much more time. But the fact is, there's a relationship between certainty and uncertainty that I want to make very clear. And I call variety uncertainty. Okay. So what I found is that it's actually necessary for us to create more uncertainty in order to ultimately get more certainty. Let me explain. I need to be willing to be uncertain for a period of time, to be uncomfortable, to be unclear for a period of time so that I can get more certainty, get more clarity, get more comfort. Because check it out, growth, I think this was David that said this, Coach David said, there is no growth in the comfort zone and no comfort in the growth zone. I love that, right? Because the fact is, if you want to truly grow, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. I'm going to give you another quick example. I'm going to come off a screen share and I'm going to wrap this up. This book right here, I brought it on my desk to show you guys. This was the first official personal development book that I read front to back, basically, when I was involved with a network marketing thing on the side, when I was still working corporate, trying to find a way to exit corporate that was unsuccessful in the sense of making enough money. But this book, plus all the other people I met and all the experiences I created, prepared me. God was preparing me, as I realize now, looking back, to be who I am today. And in fact, he's always preparing you to be who you are going to be now and tomorrow and beyond. So be okay to get prepared for what's ahead. It might feel rough, but when you read a book like this, you read about the laws of leadership, as Maxwell talks about. When you go to a Tony Robbins event and you invest in your education, your growth, if you would, and your life experience, and you come to events like this, virtual conversations and events in person, you are making a commitment to yourself. So I give you a kudos for that. But check it out. You have to be willing to take responsibility after this, after you read the book, after you come to the event, after you go to wherever you're going, to go do something with it. So that's really about taking action. And that's what we focus again a lot on the Growth Collective. We focus on our clients need to be put into action mode. Enough information, education is important, information is great. Well, let's go take action. Let's go look at deals together. Let's go look at putting the numbers together where this can make sense. And let's go get empowered to make an offer. Let's go get empowered to negotiate a deal, sign a contract, get the funding you need, utilize joint ventures inside the group, people that are ready to jump into a deal with you. Let's utilize that access to capital to go do more deals. One of our clients, I don't have her permission, but one of our clients today, I didn't answer this fully, but they asked, would it be okay, or how is it possible to do deals with none of your own money? And the answer is very simple. I'm just going to answer that now for everybody as a quick commercial, if you would, to the conversation about mindset. And this actually is a mindset discussion, in fact, because the mindset that I don't have to have my own money to do a real estate deal is unconventional, right? But the fact is that it, practically speaking, is very possible. It's being done by hundreds, if not thousands of people all across the world, not even just like in America. It's like people all across the world are using other people's money legally with agreements to go ahead and actually do deals, whether that be a real estate investment deal, raising money from like a Shark Tank type of scenario for entrepreneurs looking for venture capital, et cetera, et cetera. I can go down the list, all these different examples. The fact is, right, to accomplish that, to accomplish using OPM, you need to get to what I call and what other people call KLT. KLT stands for know, like, and trust. And we did a whole conversation about this in our Growth Collective meeting, I think yesterday, about raising capital and having KLT. And what if you don't have KLT? How do you get that? Because really what happens is folks in this group inside of the free community on Facebook, the Real Estate Investing Mastermind, I've seen it in the approval requests where you're literally putting a post and hoping that someone's going to want to approve it, which I'm sorry, we're not going to allow you to post unless you're a paid client. And you'll hear about that, paid clients inside the Growth Collective. You'll hear about that if you haven't already heard about that, that we're going to allow you guys to start posting inside for your benefit, right? As a paid client inside the Real Estate Investing Mastermind, almost 4,000 and growing group. But people that are just in the group, we want you to contribute in these meetings by commenting, by having conversation and that kind of thing with us and with our clients. The fact is, though, it doesn't make sense for anybody to post a deal in my book, right, that you're looking for other people's money to attract to without even knowing who's in the group. Like, don't just go posting deals in groups. As much as you could wholesale it that way, it's a really, like, I hate to say this word, but it's kind of lazy. And it's okay to be like efficient, I'll call it, instead of lazy, but it's also not okay to look at it like a transaction. I want to look at, how do I draw people in to me? This is my mindset when I'm attracting capital flow. Okay, if I'm looking for capital flow, we talk about deal flow, capital flow. Capital flow is attracted to deal flow, yes. But first, they might be attracted to what I'm saying about who I am as an individual, what I stand for, what I believe in. That's going to attract someone to KLT, know, like, and trust me. If I don't have KLT, I'm telling you guys right now, it's very difficult and almost next to impossible. And in some cases, it's not legal to be able to use capital for somebody who doesn't know you already well enough to be comfortable with that, doesn't like you, and doesn't trust you. Like, why would they even give you the capital in the first place? They shouldn't do that. But maybe it's from a friend or a family member that knows, likes, and trusts you. That's easy. But if it's from a stranger, maybe it's from a referral. Like, I've had friends of mine give a friend, that person's another, hey, you should talk to this guy. He's got deals and stuff like that. We could work together. I've had scenarios like that. But most of the people that have done business with me have been family, friends, or close business associates. Now, I'd recommend the same for everybody here. But the thing is, if you have the KLT, this is for my client in the Growth Collective as well as the group, then you can focus on the stuff that isn't the KLT, meaning the deal. So in other words, what do I do in real life? I call my friends or text my friends and say, hey, I got this opportunity. Would you want to look at it together? We're looking at a condo down here. Talk to my business partner about it. We might be doing the deal together. We have another one down in Florida that we're selling right now that I have another friend of mine involved in, capital wise. There's all these different scenarios, right? One in New Jersey, multiple friends of mine have invested in New Jersey deals. So basically it's like, if I have the KLT, then I use that as my starting point. If I don't have that know, like, and trust relationship, I can choose, and you could choose, to create more of those, which is a good idea, a great idea, to have more of those people in your network that you can connect with that have the interest in collaborating. But I can also choose to focus on, basically the people that I already have. And for whatever reason, we avoid the know, like, and trust folks that are already in our sphere, which is a mindset thing that we get nervous. Why are we nervous to tell our family members, our friends, our close business associates, people we've connected with in person multiple times? Why are we so afraid to tell them about what we're doing as a real estate investor? Like, this is kind of ridiculous. You should be excited to tell them about that. And guess what? If you are listening to me right now and you're not excited about real estate investing, but you're still here, I'm surprised. If you are excited about real estate investing, then the question is, what does your mind do When you think about making that phone call or sending that text message, what does it say in your mind? I'm going to call out another book I have here, which I highly recommend. And this one, it's been a while that I read this, but I'm going to show you anyways. This guy wrote a book called Little Voice Mastery, right? And that's not the guy, Joel, kind of looks like Joel Osteen, he's Blair Singer, different guy. But this is Little Voice Mastery. This thing was gold because he talks about how we tell ourselves stuff in our head, we get in our own head, right? So the fact is, we can't have that happen. We have to break the little voice down and not let it get in the way of what's really going on. I'm going to give you guys one more book recommendation, and we can't jam all the information into one meeting. I'll go through the last of the 6 human needs, and we'll wrap this up. This book recommendation is huge if you want lifestyle. If you want to have a lifestyle that has freedom at its core, you need to read the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. It's about outsourcing your life, basically, not just your business, but finding out how valuable time really is and what kind of experiences you want to create in your life and taking accountability and responsibility for those. No one else is going to build your life for you. Hate to break it to you. God will help you, but he's given you the tools and the encouragement and the calling to do certain things. We have to take the responsibility to actually make it happen. So on that note, I'm going to bring back my screen share. I'm going to ask again, if you have any questions, feel free to use the comment. I'm going to check the chat, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up in the screen share. Okay. Let's see. All right. So significance, right? We're so far certainty and variety, significance, right? Significance. Everybody needs to feel special and important in some way, as Robin says. People will seek significance through obtaining recognition from others or from themselves sometimes, right? When people feel insignificant, think about this. I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you feel significant usually, or do you feel insignificant? If you're not sure how that feels, do you feel important or unimportant? Do you feel excited about what you're doing in life or not as excited? Do you feel let down? You don't have to answer that in a comment. This is a deep conversation, everybody. You got to look at yourself and introspect, right? So it's a question of when you feel insignificant, you may sometimes, believe it or not, make yourself get angry to do what? To feel significant. How many times have you seen somebody who was angry and said, why are they so angry? But then you get to know the person, say, man, that person has a really soft spot in their heart and they actually have a lot of love, but they just don't feel as important. So what does that person need? Typically, they need to feel more important. They need to be told. You know, there's another great book. It's more of an intimate type of relationship type book. It's called The 5 Love Languages. This happens a lot with partners, right? And various over our life and our time together, my wife and I have worked on different things, and some of the times it's communication. So communication, sometimes the indirect communication is, I feel this way because I don't feel the other way, right? So I feel a certain level of insignificant and because of whatever reason, but because of that, I feel this other way, which is usually a bad emotion. And that could be man or woman, female or male. It doesn't make a difference. Fact is,
Hey, Douglas, you just froze.
we sometimes satisfy our need. So find another coping mechanism, find something that's going to help you get closer. Again, I go back to faith. Get the Bible app. I have an app called Hallow, which is an app that reads the Bible. You have a daily scripture every single day you can listen to. And the gentleman is actually the gentleman who's on The Chosen. If you haven't seen The Chosen, quick shout out to The Chosen. The guy that's an awesome. My buddy John told me about it, and his family is amazing. You might hear this video. So John, what's up, man? I want to have you come in as a guest. I'm gonna tell the team whenever the time is right for you, when it's good for us, like we'll line it up. But John is an amazing man. John is a father. He's a business owner. He's a husband. He's a man of God. Like he's an exemplary of someone that I want to be like, you know. And I told him this in person once recently, and I was like, man, I felt like it just awoke my spirit. Like it really woke me up to say, this man is doing amazing things in his life, and I want to be like him too. He's a little bit older than me, but he's had a lot of different things happen in his life, and I look up to him in a lot of ways. And I told him I look up to him a lot of ways in his belief and his faith in Christ and in God, because that's the driving force for most of, if not everything he does, as far as I know, is what would God do about, like, what does Jesus do? You know, what would Jesus do? And he told me about The Chosen, and that's been life changing. So if you guys don't have a relationship with God and you know that you need that, man, get Amazon Prime just for The Chosen and watch the first 2 seasons and you'll be blown away. It will open up your mind to what Christ really was like when he lived on the earth and see it visually. I've never seen a good depiction in my book of what I think I read in the Bible. Like it hasn't been like that. This is literally the stories in the Bible shown on, a TV show, which is all, about God and about Christ and about your relationship. I feel moved when I watch this thing. It's not like I just like passively enjoy it. So anyways, that's another plug for another great tool there, but it goes back to faith. So significance, if you feel insignificant, check in on your faith. If you feel insignificant, check in on the bottom three here, everybody, which I'm going to share with you that love and connection. Again, Tony Robbins is an amazing man. He has a tremendous amount of influence, and I agree with a lot of what he talks about. I think this is a great point. However, I would say there's a subtlety, if you ask me, about love and connection being something that we have to sometimes learn more about or focus on intentionally, but coming from our spiritual side, not so much from an intellectual, right? Or like a primal desire. It might be there for nurturing, but the question is, if you don't feel loved and connected to something or connected to people, it might be again because you have a void in your spirit. I'm going to go back to that. And I've experienced this firsthand. Like I've had parts of my life growing as, almost 40 years old at this point as a man, like in multiple chapters, if you would, in my life where I didn't feel that kind of love and connection in one or more parts of my relationships. And it came because I wasn't centered as much, at least I felt like, in my spirit. When I got stronger with my spirit and use it as a driving force, man, love and connection was everywhere. Like I want to help others. I want to serve. I want to love. I want to care. I want to take care of. I want to provide. I want to be compassionate. I want to be empathetic. I want to be a good, example for my children, a good example for the world. I want to do all the things that are good and true and what God will want me to do. But I do that because it comes from a spiritual sense, as much as it might be somewhat intellectual for some people or a need we have. I look at it as intentionality of driving that from my spirit. So if you are lacking in certainty or variety or significance, I'm telling you right now, the bottom three are like amazing if you focus on love and connection, growth, and contribution. Love and connection, he says, humans, we all need to feel connected with somebody or something, a person, an ideal, a value, a habit, a sense of identity. Connection may come in the form of love or merely an intense engagement. For example, one can feel connected by means of an aggressive interaction. So it goes back to, he goes like, there was this one thing he did at the event. He's like, he said like, we kind of convince ourselves to feel a certain way. He goes, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. I'm not happy. He's like, basically, sometimes we tell ourselves so many things that are not true that you start to try to believe them. And then that's not really a healthy way, again, of addressing the issue. Find where the gap is and just address it head on. Okay. This is like the part one for like 10 potential parts that we could have. Again, that's more of a conversation. This stuff is very individualized. So this is a good reason, a great reason, again, to set up an appointment, join the growthcollective.com. This is like one little element of what I can do to help you. If this is helping you, if you feel value, just do me a favor in the comment on wherever you're hearing this, put the word value. If you feel the value, if you feel the power that this has, not because I said it, but because you're becoming aware of it, because you're starting to understand how this works, and you're starting to break down the psychology that we already have in us that we just don't fully understand. If this is helping you and you're here to see the live or replay, do me a favor and put in the comment value. And I want to also have a personal conversation with you. I want you to reach out. I want you to DM me and just tell me, hey, I got some value. I'd love to continue the conversation. If that's you. And the next thing to do is go to join the Growth Collective. Because again, this is part of the experience. If you need it to be, we have one-on-one options that are available to allow you to spend time with me and other coaches. If you decide to get other people perspective as well, to talk about these things in private. So it's not in front of a larger group, it's just you and me or you and somebody else that we bring to the table. So if you need that, just tell me in a private conversation, DM me, hey, Doug, hey, I appreciate that, and I'm looking to learn more. And if you want to take it the next step, go to jointhegrowthcollective.com and listen to what's going on from a real estate perspective, but also schedule time and let Joe or candidates or myself, whoever takes that call, know that, look, I'm here because I want to do real estate investing, but I also want to work on that stuff that Doug was talking about, what 6 human needs and mindset. I need that. And we'll know that that's going to be more appropriate to have a one-on-one type of an engagement working together with you. Okay. I hope that helps. And then we got 2 more things and we're wrapping this up. All right. So unfortunately, we don't have too much time for Q&A. Let me just pop in the chat. Glenn saying value. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate you. Chosen app is free. Oh, that's a good tip. Actually, I didn't know it was on the phone. So there you go. The Chosen app's on the phone. I got to download it because I got to get season 3, and season 3 is not on, it's not on actually Prime. And it's on the thing called Peacock, but you have to pay like $15 a month. So I'm being a little cheap, but I don't really, I want to pay extra money. I already pay all this other money for like YouTube TV and this other thing. Like I'll just get the free one, right? The Chosen app is free. Excellent. So I'm going to download that. I think probably John told me to. I just didn't actually do it. So that was my bad. But yeah, that's good, man. I appreciate you letting me know. So, all right. And then let's just check on Facebook real quick one more time. Yeah, I think my Facebook is like kind of not actively updating or something when in this meeting. I don't know what's Gabriel said, Val, I appreciate that. Rachel, absolutely appreciate you being here. And we'll definitely have a conversation. I appreciate your engagement, Rachel. Feeling stuck there, we're sick feeling every time, thinking about doing anything. It gets nervous. Yeah, nerve wracking. I totally get that. So we'll be in touch. Myself or someone from my team will reach out to you for sure and see how we could add value. There's probably some more folks. I see 26 comments, but I can't see the rest of them for some reason, the way Facebook shows it. So my bad if I'm missing a comment. But let's wrap it up with growth and contribution. Okay, man. I had to come off of video for this for a second, or come off of a screen share. The word growth is almost as powerful as the word if in my book. So the word if, I can't remember the number of times, but it's like hundreds of times in the Bible. If this happens, then you should expect this to happen. Like God says through, Jesus or whoever heard him speak to them, like, if you do this, then this will happen. If there's multiple things. Well, growth is kind of like, if you choose to grow, amazing things could happen. But if you choose not to grow, if you choose intentionally to avoid growth, man, I don't know, respectfully, again, you could stay in this group, you could stay as a listener and you could try to participate, but I just don't think we have many people that are like saying to themselves, I am so far along, I don't need to grow. I don't need growth. Like I'm good. Like I'm set. And because I know some of the people that are the most successful and fulfilled people I know, because there's a difference there. I'm going to talk about that as we wrap up today. Success and fulfillment, both of those things are checked big time for some people I know. They're still not done growing. They've told me intentionally, and they're telling anybody that talks to them about it, asking the question, like, no, I am always, as that individual, as myself, as anyone I know that's working on this, like every single day is a day about growth. So, because I know that there's another level somewhere, there's another experience, there's another life, a piece of life that I haven't seen yet. There's a place I haven't gone to yet. There's a place or a thing I haven't learned about yet. Like I haven't researched it. There's not any one person I know that knows everything, right? The closest thing to that, which is actually scary, is like AI, like Alexa. Hopefully I didn't send off a bunch of things right now by saying that, but it has, a lot more information than the average human, right? And so do all these other things, Siri and other stuff. And it's not because it knows it by default. It's because a human programmed it. So remember that. And because the human was programmed by God that had the capacity to know how to program a system. But the challenge is, I just don't want to see the world become like the Matrix. If you haven't seen the Matrix, it's not that old of a movie, but it's old enough to where you haven't seen it. If you're younger, check out the Matrix. Like it's kind of scary if you think about what's happening. It's kind of becoming real life, the Matrix. But the fact is, we have a responsibility, everybody, to grow, right? And like when I pray with my family, for example, it's going to be, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Sometimes it's depending on the day, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. It just kind of depends what rolls off my tongue when I say it. Usually the first thing I say is like the thing that's mindful for me, like that day, right? Sometimes it might be physical, emotional, mentally, and spiritual. It just depends on the order, but you got to say there's 4 dimensions, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Like I need to grow every day on those 4 elements. And if I can focus on that, I focus on how am I intentionally choosing to grow mentally, my intellect, physically, my body, my health, spiritually, my faith, my subconscious, my inner being, right? And then emotionally is like how I feel and how I believe things to be true. So if I can grow on all 4 of those dimensions, man, that's the beautiful thing. If I stop growing in any one or more of those, that's where you start having really bad things happen, right? Because you get complacent. Next thing you know, you had all this money, you had this experience, this life experience, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And like things have taken a big turn. So we have to keep pushing for growth. I look at myself, at one point when I was a kid, I think my brother was like getting into bodybuilding and stuff like that. And he was teaching me how to lift weights. And I'm not like a bodybuilder, but I know actually, I think Candace's husband's like a professional bodybuilder, or a competitive bodybuilder. She works with us. And there's other people I know that are bodybuilders. My buddy Sean from Ryder is literally a bodybuilder. He's like Mr. Olympia, Sean Clarita. Or Clarita. He's actually one of the recent Mr. Olympias. He's like 212 pounds, like this massive dude, like but ripped. And the thing is, like bodybuilding is about building your body, in their minds, like to the best and most efficient usage of your body, like to have the biggest and best looking muscles, right? Basically, in your definition and stuff. But what about your life? Like, what about life building, right? Like If you want to build your body, what about your whole life? Like, how do you improve your life? How do you grow in your life? A lot of us forget that. Spiritual life, right? It's like getting closer to the word of God, getting closer to my spirit, my subconscious, my meditative, my subconscious state. Like, what does that look like? What are the things I'm saying to myself? My belief systems, right? My emotions, those things make a big difference. So, on that note, like, I just can't emphasize enough, like, really take inventory, everybody listening to me today, wherever it's at, live or on replay. Please, I can't emphasize enough. Like, you have to be honest with yourself. Just tell yourself what is true and write it down somewhere. And for my Growth Collective clients that are hearing this, and hopefully here, if you're not here live right now, you hear this last part later, please take the time to tell us what is really going on mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. When you're willing to be vulnerable about what's happening in your life, there's clients, I'm not going to call them out because it's not fair and it's not even right to do that. It's not, there's certain things that I could say because it's a celebration, and there's certain things that are just like really close to the home. Like, you can't be sharing that stuff, and it's just out of respect. And I encourage you all to honor that too, for yourself and for others. Like, be mindful of that stuff. Like, yes, be open, but be closed when you need to be closed. There's things for private that need to stay private. So there's certain individuals that have told me things in private that are like pretty intense. And I pray for those. I literally pray to God for those individuals that are my clients and people close to me, that they have strength and healing and love and compassion and things that will feel better. And I know it's not that God wants to hurt those individuals. It's just that there's a tough chapter. It's a tough season, as they say. Right. And it's just a phase in your life journey. And it's normal to have those ebbs and flows. But I can tell you, it reminds me of the story of digging the hole. Right. If you're trying to plant an oak tree, like I tell my clients, and you want to put that inside of a hole that's big enough to put like a flower, you're going to have a pretty big challenge. If there already is a mature oak tree that's like 3 feet wide or 2 feet wide, trying to get that transplanted into a hole that's about 3 or 6 inches wide for a flower to go into. So the question is, how much dirt are you willing to dig? Do you even have a shovel? Are you willing to put in the sacrifice? If you're not willing to sacrifice, then listen, it's okay. We're not mad at you. I'm not upset. You shouldn't be upset with yourself. It's just an acknowledgement you have to make, and be honest with yourself that if you're not willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to get that oak tree planted, to get that business to be built to this massive empire, if you're not willing to sacrifice it, just acknowledge the fact and be okay with it, or take responsibility and do something about it. Go to the jointhegrowthcollective.com website, jointhegrowthcollective.com. Go there, take responsibility, watch the video. You want to have somewhat of an advantage, a shortcut of sorts to get into your next deal, your first deal. I'm telling you, I can't tell you guys enough. Like, the group is blossoming. It's amazing. It's a shout out to my clients and our members. There's not just clients. Like, these people are creating a group that's membership driven. Like, people actually, they show up and they share stories about stuff that brings value to others. That's a mastermind. So if you want that, if you know you need that, and you're willing to be responsible and take the responsibility and the sacrifice that takes, both time and money, then just set up an appointment. It's not like this, hey, go to the back of the room and sign up. No, just go to jointhegrowthcollective.com, watch a 5-minute long, 4.5-minute long video of me talking, understand how it kind of works in a general sense. And if it's interesting, take the time to schedule an appointment, answer like the 6 or 7, 8 questions that are there. They're easy to answer. It's like, yes, no, here's a number to, like, it's just like click the button, and then boom, on the calendar with one of my staff, and you'll talk to them about what you got going on, what you're looking to do. We'll see if it's a good fit, and there's no cost to that call. There's no obligation. There's no high pressure. It's got to be for you or not for you. It's pretty much black and white. It's not like, oh, well, let's try to find a way to pull you into the group or something. That's not how we do it, right? It's got to make sense. We don't want folks in the group, this group, free or the one that's paid community. We don't want people that are not going to be valuable to the group, right? Like, when I interview somebody or think about someone coming into the group, I say, okay, you could give me all the money you ever want to give. That's great. But are you going to bring value to the group? Are you going to be an additional level of value brought to the group, as far as willingness to collaborate, sharing perspective, willingness to be vulnerable? Like, I literally rate in my head people that apply to say, like, hey, Joe, hey, candidates, what does this person got going on? Like, it's not just about putting out, however much. Some of the programs are like 25 grand for the year, 15 grand for the year. Like, it's significant investment, right? There's other options that exist for less than that too, though, you should find out about. So again, jointhegrowthcollective.com. But the fact is, money isn't everything. Hence why I'm sitting here talking about mindset, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have a fulfilling life, if you don't have the intentionality to go build something for the sake of why you're trying to do it, then you're not going to have enjoyment in my book. And I don't think you're going to see it either. What is going to make you feel excited? Fulfillment is going to make you feel excited, not success. That's a really simple way of putting it. And there's an art, as Tony Robbins says, of fulfillment, but there's a science to success. So here's the cool thing. We have a science, if you would, to the process of securing real estate, profitable real estate deals. We have a scientific method that's been proven over hundreds of deals and tens of millions of dollars worth of transactions. So like that is proven through scientific method. Like it's lived through, we've been through it. We do it every month. We have closings and we have our clients closing deals too. Right. So that's not a question, but the fulfillment part, that's honestly back to you listening to me right now. You need to take responsibility for your own fulfillment. I will help guide you as my client or in this small group here or larger group, I should say, smaller conversation, shorter conversation, but you have to take the action. So if you're still listening to this right now and you're going to take action, put the word action in a comment. If you're taking action or going to take action, put the word action in a comment, and more than likely myself or someone from my team will reach out to you and talk about what kind of action you're taking, what kind of action you're willing to take, and how we can help you take even more and more appropriate action. Because see, it's about implementation. It's not about just education and information, all that other stuff. So action, take action, right? Go, move. Don't sit still. I'm sitting in a chair and I'm getting uncomfortable. I want to stand up and jump around. I was just at a jumping park, like a trampoline place, with my kids literally jumping on trampolines. Like that's exciting. That's for me, variety. It's a fulfillment too, because my kids are having fun. So we're going to wrap this up right now with the last thing, which is contribution. We're way over time. It's all good. I hope you guys are hearing and seeing this and helping to get clarity in your life. Contribution, right? Contribution, just as people cannot survive without others contributing in some way to their welfare. Basically, like he says, no baby grew up on its own. Well, the same individuals, we cannot be spiritually fulfilled unless we are contributing to others. So you want to know the secret? Why does this guy Douglas J. Beck come here every week for free? Is he just trying to sell me something? Is he trying to get me into that growth code? He must have said the website about 15 or 20 times. No, I'm saying that because some of you need to hear it that many times and know that it's there for you. It's a tool, it's a resource. But you know why? The reason why I come here every single week, I've intentionally chosen to take an hour, hour and a half of my day every Thursday to be with folks that I don't even know in a group that's being built out every single week and every single day with complete strangers coming in to talk about real estate stuff. You want to know why? Because I care about contribution. I care about you more than you realize without even knowing who you are, because I care about leaving an imprint that's positive and pushing you to be the best version of yourself, because I can't hit as many people and help as many people in a smaller group as I can in a larger group like this. I can't go and just post something on my Facebook and expect that thousands of people are going to see it. But I can go into my Facebook group, thank God to Facebook, and literally connect with thousands of people live. And if they check the replay out, and then we could take that same video and put it on YouTube and have other people see that. If I wanted to, I could take that same video, which we're going to start doing, and making clips and then running advertisements so people can hear about that so they can get into the group to be here with us every single week. Why do I do that? Because I know that it's my calling to serve you. I've been called by God, my God, to sit here and serve you. And I know that because others have served me and gotten me the ability and the opportunity to be who I am and what I am as a real estate investor, as a father, even as a husband, as a person that cares about society, that wants to see people succeed and happy and joyful, as a man of God. Right? I have those desires, but the fact is my willingness and desire to contribute is deeper than anyone really knows. I'll tell you, like when I wrote my college essay, as corny as it might sound to some of you, just telling you to be real, I literally wrote about helping others. something called me at the age of 17, 18 years old to write my essay about helping others. And I can't remember the question that the colleges I was applying to that one had asked, but it was, what do you feel like is your something like, what do you feel like is your responsibility to society? Like what, what's your purpose? Like, what do you see as once you graduate, what's your expectation of yourself and how you're going to help contribute or something like that? It was like, well, I know it's not like I think about it. I know it's to do something to help other people. Like, it's not just because that's the box to check. It's literally my spiritual desire as a person that comes from a place of contribution, like to help others. So question for you is, by doing what you're doing every single day, right? Friends, family, others, strangers, I don't know, like by listening to this message, who are you helping by doing what you do every day? Who are you helping? Is it just you? If it is, I have to tell you, there's a much better way to go about your life. Instead of just helping yourself, help others first. Because I'm told, like it says here in this little crystallized glass thing that I have on my desk, it's always on my desk, give and it shall be given to you. Another biblical truth, right? If I give to you, then at some point in time, there's a chance that you can give to me. And just by listening is actually giving to me, because I know I have folks that can listen to the guidance that I'm bringing, listen to the words of advice, listen to the stories that I share to help you and to serve you, to help me fulfill my calling, right? So that's what I'm called to do. What are you and who are you serving, right? What are you doing to contribute? That's a very important question. Probably one of the most, if not the most important question for today. Who are you contributing to? What impact are you going to leave? Who is counting on you right now to do something as a real estate investor? They may not call it that. They might just say, well, I really hope that you, meaning you listen to me, is going to go out there and make something happen. We really need that win. We need that win. We need that success. We need that momentum. We need that, that blip, that one blip just to kind of change things. We need that consistent passive income. We need that fix and flip. We need that wholesale. They don't know it yet. You may not know it, but what is it that you can do as a real estate investor that's going to change the course of the trajectory of your life for you and for all the people around you that are counting on you? They're counting on you. You just haven't heard them say that to you maybe as much, or maybe you don't think about it as much. You just kind of go about your day. And a lot of us just give our time to things that don't deserve our time. And we don't take full inventory of who we're committed to and who's counting on us. And man, it's my responsibility to shake you up a little bit. And hopefully you feel that way. And it might be tough to hear, but you got to stop doing what you're not doing the right way, which is giving your time to others. You need to take responsibility, right? We just had a client of ours. I'm not going to share again. He might be willing to at some point, but we had a client of ours hand in his resignation letter just in the past month. As he's working on his first deal, working on it, kudos to him. Talk about faith. This gentleman's got faith. I know he does. We talked about it in one-on-ones, but I'm excited because you know what? He was sick and tired of committing his life to a company that just looked at him like a utilization, like just how many hours can we possibly get from this guy to work and run this part of the company? And man, I had flashbacks to how it felt when I was working in corporate, like many of you might be feeling right now, working for somebody else, corporate or in the field or whatever you're doing, not really having that sense of fulfillment. And maybe you don't even feel like you're being successful in the sense of having enough income, which is why you might be looking at real estate investing as an option. All I can say is I can help you, but you have to be willing to sacrifice the feeling of whatever it feels good like. You have to feel a little bit worse for a little while. If you're willing to feel a little bit worse and you're willing to make an investment into yourself, then please, again, I implore you, join thegrowthcollective.com to have a conversation and let's see where we can go from there. It might be a good fit. It might not be. Or you could just choose to come here. There's no cost to be in this meeting every single week. And I encourage you to do that. The time may not be now, it might be later, but don't take the time to set up an appointment if your intentions are just to come here every week for free. By all means, stay in the group, stay in the free community, but don't take the time, please, of our team. We have other people that are called to spend a little bit of time and invest a little bit of time on the phone with our team because they need to make that decision now and do something about the rest of their life. They want to change it now. So if that's you, man, go and get over to the website, jointhegrowthmethod.com and go ahead and set up the appointment today. Stay tuned for our challenge coming up next month. We'll have more coming out about that pretty soon. You all should be on our email list, or if you haven't, yet done that, you could actually go back and kind of opt in by going to the reimastermind.com. So if you go to the reimastermind.com, that's the website you can go to kind of opt in, if you would, if you have somehow gotten off the list or you've not gone on the list before for some reason. The reimastermind.com will get you on our email list so that you get information about deal flow when we have it that's shared with the group, because a lot of times it goes to the Growth Collective first and it gets taken from the Growth Collective, or it goes to someone that we've already done business with. So again, remember, this group is here for free, but we're not allowing folks to post in it to control and maintain the quality of the group, except for our paid clients. So if you are a paid client from today forward, if you don't know by now, you have the right and ability to post inside the Real Estate Investing Mastermind. Obviously be respectful, all the stuff that we talk about in our private group calls, but also use it to help you get the connections made that you need in your business. If you're not a paid client and you need that feature, you want to have access to that, again, set up an appointment, jointhegrowthcollective.com. Some people just need more reach. They need more people to talk to. We can help you with that. Others need a more intensive experience, a one-on-one. We can help you with that too. So whatever it is for you, we have an option that is likely to be a good fit if you're willing to do the work, take the effort, put in the action, feel a little bit uncomfortable, but we can help you through the process. So on that note, God bless you guys. Appreciate you all being here, listening to this message. Go do something about it and go make your life the best version of what it needs to be for you and your family and those that care about you and that count on you today. I'll talk to you real soon. God bless. See you next week.